Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm going to look at this. Yes, this is an important film. This is The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957. It's important because it's the first of the colour horror films that Hammer became known for, the gothic horror films. Here it is, and what a film. It set everything that we know and love about Hammer. It's just such a fantastic film, and you can see why it's so groundbreaking as it was. It was amazing. Now, it's 83 minutes long. It's not that long. It's, if you look at the Rotten Tomato ratings, it's now got 81%, which isn't bad, I suppose. But at the time, certainly in this country, UK, the reviews were not all that favourable. But the public absolutely loved it. And in America, the critics were more favourable. And it did well in America. The budget, for instance, was $270,000, and it made $8 million. That is amazing amount of money it made. And of course, the strategy of Hammer being, as we've talked about in previous weeks, was the X certificate. Yes, it got its X certificate, which again was exactly perfect for the marketing. People had not seen this. They were excited. Colour and some gore in it as well. You know, it was amazing. I mean, nowadays it may seem tame, but wow, this was an amazing film, and the public just wanted more, and that is what happened. We had, well, there's 7 of these Frankenstein films right up to 1974, and only one, the 1970 Horror of Frankenstein, doesn't have Peter Cushing playing various, throughout these films, incarnations of the Baron. That's what's brilliant about this whole series. It's not just the straight take of what the Baron should be from the novel, the Mary Shelley novel, 1818. Believe it or not, 1818, yeah, Frankenstein was written. It's moved on so much from that, but the concept and idea about the creation and all the things involved, fantastic. Of course, Universal had started it all out with Boris Karloff in 1931 with the brilliant, particularly the two, Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, and they were groundbreaking films themselves, in the black and white, and had that wonderful style. And Karloff was, well, his performance as the monster was just seen as the thing. But Hammer were able to develop a lot of this, and it's to their credit that they did this. You know, who was going to outdo Universal? Well, Hammer certainly had a good turn at it, I'll tell you. And, you know, it's so wonderful, you know, knowing that this wonderful set of films that were to be produced came from the UK, Britain. Fantastic! Yes, it's great. It's wonderful. We developed a whole franchise of various horror films, Hammer horror, and the quality is amazing. It really is. It's fantastic. Well, let me get straight down to this. This is directed by Terence Fisher. If there's one director for Hammer, I mean, he'd been doing all the Hammer films before this, on the various thrillers and all comedy and everything that Hammer had done, and he's got a massive amount of films he did. It's just fantastic. And then he got into the Hammer horror, and well, he produced all the classic ones. We got the Dracula one in 1958. We got the Mummy one, 1959. Got the Curse of the Werewolf, 1961. And then he continued with some of the great classics of Hammer. Amazing amount. In fact, he directed so many of these brilliant ones. And he even directed the last Frankenstein one, which was Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell from 1974. Just such an amazing director. His style, everything about him, and the use of colour, and also on low budgets. Relatively low budgets. What an amazing man. And he fitted perfectly into the Hammer machine. Now, it was also written, as usual, Jimmy Sangster wrote this. Now, we know he's been such a great screenwriter for Hammer. Again, over the years, he was just an amazing writer, which they'd got hold of, and he was able to get a feel of what these stories should be about. It wasn't just a matter of reproducing the novels, it was expanding them, and over time this is what happened. So Jimmy Sangster, important screenplay writer, definitely. Then we got Peter Cushing, of course, his major role as the Baron. And the great thing about Peter Cushing is he's just Peter Cushing. He's a fantastic actor. And we get the whole brilliant performance here. And he would continue throughout the films he did, and giving different changes to the character of the Baron, which was a great idea and innovation, and led to so many more great stories being told. We had in this film Robert Urquhart as Paul, who's quite a pivotal character in the film. We had Hazel Court, playing Elizabeth, an important character in the film. And here we are, Christopher Lee. Yes, Christopher Lee played the monster, but he looked the part. Now, they made him, I suppose, more like the Karloff version of the monster. It doesn't really look like them. They had to do what they did. There's obviously certain reasons why they didn't. And of course, in more later ones, they had to deal with creating the creature, they would call it, not necessarily the monster, which didn't look like the Karloff creation at all, which was a good idea to some extent. But this is what is so good about Hammer. They could innovate and they could change and do all sorts of these things. Lee seemed perfect at the time, this tall character playing the monster. And he didn't say no to it much. But of course, he was to really grab the fame in the following year playing Dracula. Wow, yeah. That's all to come, and all stems from this film. This is how important this film is. I can't underestimate it. So it follows the traditional sort of storyline about the Baron. The Baron, let's face it, is a very self-obsessed character who's only got one thing on his mind. which is for his own genius to some extent. He's not interested really in for the good of mankind. It's all for himself and creating this, it's and his obsession makes him also not always a very nice character. He's also, which is another aspect of the character that we see here, he's a bit of a womanizer. Yeah. He's got his mistress there, and then he's got Elizabeth, and he's very ruthless. He's evil, in fact. He gets rid of his mistress in this film when she becomes a problem. He's not a nice character at all, really. And Paul is always trying to check him to some extent, but it doesn't work. And Paul becomes disgusted by what the things going on. Because Paul is such an important character in the film. He was the teacher who educated the Baron, really, right from a young man, really. And this is the dilemma of him as a teacher, because he doesn't, in the end, like what's going on. And we get the morality about this, and we get all discussions about life and death and, what right, playing God, and all these sort of arguments still come up. But yeah, Peter Cushing is brilliant, and he is evil, really. And as I say, it starts when he's telling his story and he's about to go to the gallows, and it ends, of course, in going to the gallows as well. It's the film is his version of what happened as he narrates it to a priest. It's just such a great film, it really is. And you watch it and I just think, well, I am looking at something very, very special here. And in the history, it's there because it's the first film in brilliant Technicolor. It's so well done. I think that really makes horror raised to a new level. And of course, this film has been so influential. So many of all your favourite horror directors and other directors have looked at this film and the series of films. Scorsese has even mentioned it. Tim Burton has even talked about the influence. All these directors that would get into horror as well, from Wes Craven, Carpenter, they've all mentioned the Hammer films. And here is where it all started. Such a great film. If you've never seen this film, it's a must. It really is, because you get an idea of how important it is just by watching it. And I strongly recommend, if you've never seen this, is give it a watch. Go on. You'll understand it all. You see this film and you think, wow, 1957, wow, amazing film. I think it explains itself. I think my enthusiasm for Hammer films. And just, if you've not seen it, please see it. Yes. Now, this Blu-ray edition is a fantastic edition. There's 3 discs in here. There's the Blu-ray with extras on, and there's a DVD with the film on, and then there's a 3rd disc with loads more extras on. And again, if you want to know everything about this film, It's all on here as well. So the extras are just well worth it. The extras on the Blu-ray disc are really good. I mean, there's an interview with Peter Cushing's assistant who was with him throughout most of his career, and it's very touching and wonderful and gives an insight into what a wonderful man, what such a nice man Peter Cushing was. Absolutely wonderful, talented, caring, such a wonderful man. Also on here is interesting. We have two like bonus features. We have one. It's a Hammer film directed by Terence Fisher from 1953 called Four-Sided Triangle. Now, this Four-Sided Triangle film is about two scientists, two lads who are, well, they're like scientists, if you want to call it, and their friend, she's like there, and of course there's like a triangle, almost like a love thing, which is developed in. But basically what they have developed is a replicating machine. This is good sort of sci-fi thriller kind of thing. It's just a straightforward film that you look at and think, this is what Hammer was doing in 1953. Blimey heck. And of course, ultimately this replication leads to replicating a human. Yes, the girl in the film. And so the love story aspect linked with the consequences of what happened is just, well, it's amazing. That's an extra in this. Then there's a Tales of Frankenstein from 1958, which was a TV pilot which was never sold. And that's really fascinating. It's got another regular of Hammer, which is Anton Differing playing the Baron. And that's another interesting take on it as well. But it never went into a television thing, but it's fascinating watching that. These are extras on this. I mean, this is just amazing. You can still get this. I think if you look on Amazon, you can still get this. It's amazing. And I'm really pleased to have this in my collection. And there it is. Yeah. Lionsgate, definitely one of theirs. Look it up. I'm sure, in fact, it will eventually get another update. I think it will, definitely. But this is the best available at the moment, and it's great. It's just enjoy it. And that's it, I think. I'm so happy about this film. I'm still excited. I watched it again. I keep watching it, and you know, like I do with these Hammer films, and each time I see it, I think, wow, these films, what a great set of films. But here it is anyhow. So, that's it. All I'm going to say now is subscribe if you want to know when I put these videos up. And if you like it, please give it a like, and it costs note. That's what we always say, and it's true. It costs note. And all I've got to say is, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.